Welcome back to the Literary Empire. Because today I'm completely too lazy to change my outfit from my previous Survivor application video, we're just gonna roll with it. And I think I'm pulling off the buff pretty damn awesome right now, if I do say so myself. So, today in the Literary Empire, what are we discussing? Well, I don't really know. We're just gonna kind of improv it. Yeah. Okay, so I'm applying for graduate programs in creative writing, MFA, because I'm a writer and that's what I do. So, got me to thinking about some of my favorites that I had to read for school. I know a lot of you are probably in high school or in college, and I really actually miss academics. Like, I loved reading, I loved going to class. Yeah, that's just kind of who I am. So, without further ado, here are a few of my favorites that I had to read in college. And one that I absolutely despised, but now I've come to love. I'm also realizing I think this is the first video I've done with my glasses on, so yes, I do actually have to wear glasses, so when I'm filming, if I'm like not looking at the camera, it's because I can't actually see it without my glasses. So, without further ado, first favorite up would be Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I've had to read this throughout community college, undergrad, you name it, many different like editions with all the footnotes and stuff, but this book is just like, there's something about it, let alone like Mary Shelley's story. Like, that woman was amazing. We're just gonna leave that there. So yeah, Frankenstein has always been one of my favorite Gothic reads because I love Gothic literature, and I think I've mentioned that before. But yeah, just like the idea of like this other and this really marginalized portion of society. I think that's what makes me love Victorian literature. I should also take this time to add that I am very much focused on Romantic and Victorian lit and Gothic, but in the terms of like not romance Gothic. Yeah, we all know how I feel about that at this point, and if we don't, I'm sure I'll make a video of it soon. So Gothic lit predates Victorian lit. It was like early 1700s into late 1700s. Kickstart of that was Anne Radcliffe's Mystery of Udolpho, which of course had to make my list. I didn't actually have to read this book in class. I read a different Anne Radcliffe that I love, but just The Mysteries of Udolpho, if you didn't know, it's in Northanger Abbey, like all the fainting girls and wonderfulness that Jane Austen is making satires of. It's wonderful. But this is the author that actually inspired Jane Austen. She was just amazing with what she did and not really caring. Like, her husband supported her in the sense of she wanted to be a writer in the 1700s. I think that's pretty damn awesome. Go find yourself a guy like that because that's important. Anyways, long rant. Mysteries of Udolpho is wonderful. I love setting. For me, setting makes or breaks a book, especially like now we have fantasy with world building and all of that. This is an era where it's like, yes, you had world building, but it also had to be grounded in reality. So yeah, I just love this book a lot, and I'm probably going to do a different video where it's like solely on it. So actually, like, most of the books on this list are Gothic lit because we also have Jane Eyre. Reader, I married him. Like, you can't get a more classic line than that. And just the story in here, if you haven't seen actually this movie, I think it came out in like 2014 or something. The movie is exquisite. I'm also a huge like fashion buff, have an almost community college degree in fashion design because I do love fashion. But like all the costumings, all the lighting was like natural lighting for the era and period costumes that they had like handcrafted. Amazing film if you have not seen it. But the book itself is just like, you read the story and it's just like, I don't know about you, but I totally relate to Jane. Like, Jane is just a badass in her own right. Yeah, I don't need to go any further than that. She is a badass and she deserves, like, oh my gosh. I just love this book. Alright, so apparently, like, as much as I can squeam Fangirl over YA, which is like, that direction is my bookshelf, with, like, actual literature, I find myself at a lack of words because it's just so different and wonderful, and it's hard to express because it's so different from YA. But I'm also forming an argument that Jane Austen is YA. So stick around for that video and that essay that I'm currently writing because, like, why not? It actually is truth. Who did Jane Austen write for? She wrote for young women. And, like, reading novels, that was like, girl, you'll go crazy doing that. Yeah, this is the reason why I love, like, I love literature because it's so, like, just, it's insane what people believe. Like, reading novels would melt your mind pretty much. We all know that's not true because why else would we be on BookTube? Okay, sidetrack of like many different thoughts going on. This is completely improv and I'm not going to delete any of this video because it's probably priceless. Anyways, moving on to favorite books I've read in college. One of them was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Like, okay, yes, everyone has probably read that. The reason I love it is because of Victorian duality. Not a duology, that is Six of Crows. Duality is having one face in public and one face in private, which is something I have been obsessed with as a writer, is how do you present yourself to a public, how do you present yourself in private, and like, where do those gray zones happen, and what happens when people clash in between that? So, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, Robert Louis Stevenson was a huge kick in the butt for that, and that's what I write as a writer. I write a lot of dualities of like people who have to choose a side eventually when you come down to it, just like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. What side are you going to stay on? Yeah, so I love Gothic literature. It's considered Gothic. Then Gothic kind of goes into this weird horror area, which is not my cup of tea at all. Alright, so we all have love to hate characters. Like, we love the Darkling, but we also hate him. I'm trying to think of another good example, but really, like, how do you just get better than the Darkling? You don't. Like, just point blank, best out there. I could put Ryzan in there. Ryzan. I call him Ryzan because that's just how I see it. Whatever. He could kind of go in that category. I'm not really sure how I feel about that. I still haven't done, like, the feel extraction of that. Anyways, love to hate characters. Darkling's top of the list because, like, you can't beat that at all. So, love to hate author that I read in college would be none other than the man himself, William Shakespeare. Ironically, he also is the day before my birthday. His birthday is the day before my birthday, which is like, hello, yes, genius right there. Yeah, I had to take Shakespeare, and I hated it in class, but there is a reason for that. Okay, I also figured out why I don't wear glasses during videos is because, like, there's weird little slide, and then you can't see my eyes, and yeah. What do you think? Glasses, no glasses? Comment below. Anyways, back to Shakespeare. Love to hate Shakespeare because Shakespeare's language is beautiful, but it's also, like, tormenting and trying to read. Let alone how much everyone reads into this is just, like, insert explicits because it's annoying. Shakespeare wrote because he wanted to write. And yeah, there are, like, subcurrents, whatever the heck you want to put into them, but, like, not every piece of literature needs to be analyzed to death. That is what annoys the hell out of me. Yeah, and I want to go into grad school. This is just, like, What Not to Do with Your Life by Camille Smadey. Anyways, love to hate Shakespeare because Shakespeare's not meant to be read, actually. Did you know that? Okay, why, Camille? Well, look at it. It's a play. What are plays meant to be done? They're meant to be performed. So Shakespeare was written in a time where most people didn't read. And one of the turning points for me after college was I watched The Hollow Crown. BBC, go and watch it. There are 2 cycles. Like, oh my gosh, if you ever want to see a modernized Shakespeare in that sense of, like, taking it out of prose, it is beautiful. And just, oh my gosh, all the actors and just, it is wonderful. So Hollow Crown has different cycles. Go watch it. BBC. It's amazing. But that's what made me realize Shakespeare's meant to be watched, not meant to be read. And so in learning that, it went back and read Shakespeare, and it's like, yeah, that makes so much more sense because it was a play. It was meant to be seen and performed and, like, talked about. It's not meant to be read and analyzed. Do you guys mind if I, like, talk about literature? Because I actually love literature. I love YA. YA is great and all. But I'm actually kind of burnt out on it. I just feel like there's a lot of the same repetitive motions going on within it, and every once in a while you find that little, like, gem or cherry or whatever the heck you want to call it. And so I just find myself being drawn back to literature. So maybe 2018 I'm going to focus more on literature and less on YA. Even though, like, there's amazing YA coming up 2018. Who am I kidding? Like, this is not going to work. But I'm going to try and balance it more because maybe you guys like it. Maybe you don't. Comment below. Please tell me, do you like actual literature? Do you like videos like this where I just ramble a bunch? Let me know. Yeah. Okay, for a quick wrap up, we talked about books we loved to read during college. If you're in college or if you're in high school and you want to know, like, what the heck, Camille, what was your favorite book? What were books you absolutely despised? hit me up. Social media, Literary Empress. If you want to know what's really going on in writing life, it's always at CBSmaybe or at CamilleSmaybe on Instagram. More active on Twitter most of the time because my phone's dying. Anyways, so we discussed that. If you ever want to talk college or English, yeah. I was an English major and I love it. I can't get rid of it. Also, we talked about love to hate authors, which is Shakespeare, because he's a master. He's a master for a reason. April 23rd, April 24th. Hopefully some of that creative genius happened to me. So, thank you for your stay in the literary empire. Hope you enjoyed yourself. Comment below if you have any questions, whatever. Just want to say hello. You can do that. I'll see you next time. Stay sassy.